if you work outside Uganda, if you travel for any reason, including medication, if you trade outside Uganda, if you live and work abroad, if you work for corporations, companies, entities which are foreign, including MTN, Airtel, Daily Monitor, NTV, including the oil companies, Sunok, and the oil companies working in Hoima, including law firms that are registered in Europe, other parts of Africa, including representing, for example, Kenyans or a Kenyan business. Banks, all banks in Uganda are foreign except Pride Africa and former Post Bank. All the other, if you work in Stanbic, Barclays, you are a foreign agent. If you work in, for example, BAT, these international companies, World Food Program, if you work for the UN, you are a foreign agent. If you work in the East African community, you are a foreign agent. If you buy onions, because most of the onions in our market and tomatoes come from Kenya. If you are engaged in taking pineapples to Kenya and coming back with tomatoes, you are a foreign agent. So that's how broad and extremely dangerous this law is. And who is an agent then of a foreigner? If, for example, our old parents who are taken care of by their children working abroad, and it's important to note that more than 1 million Ugandans are working abroad because of lack of employment opportunities in Uganda. So the country that has failed to provide social protection for its citizens, including employment and services for the vulnerable and elderly like medical, is now seeking to criminalize Ugandans that have traveled outside this country, seeking employment, seeking to take care of their siblings, parents, and grandparents. That process of remittance of support for school fees, for health care, for food, and other needs is the process being criminalized. And the law focuses on the recipient of support from outside Uganda. So if you are doing a business in Kenya and Tanzania and Rwanda under the East African integration process, you need to register as a foreign agent, because if you receive payment from your customers or clients in Kenya, and that you have not gotten a license of the Minister of Internal Affairs, you can be fined money amounting to 2 billion shillings, or you can be imprisoned for up to 20 years for receiving money illegally from outside Uganda. We have other international and multilateral companies that work in Uganda, including with the government of Uganda, like IMF, World Bank. All their employees have to get licenses every 2 years as agents of foreigners in Uganda. So you can imagine the absurdity that this law seeks to create in terms of, this country. If you want to do business or push through a legislation, it is anchored on fear-mongering. Fear-mongering to create dubious activities like the digital number plates. That business was anchored on fear. If you look at the other businesses that are cherished from government, you have to craft you pitch your business idea based on fear-mongering factor, or using fear as a trademark to shortchange citizens. So you find that this law is anchored in that culture of legislating, with the hindsight of fear of citizens and in a bid to control power. So we don't know what these NRM people faced with, met or encountered in the campaign trail to come up with such unconstitutional and unheard of law that seeks to shield themselves against the sovereign rights of Ugandans as they hide behind, branding a law as a shield against sovereign interference. Because what is sovereignty? If you go under Article 1 of the Constitution, the sovereign rights of Ugandans, or Article 1, power belongs to the people. All power, belong to the people who shall exercise it through expressing their wishes, values, and aspirations